the idea for pilgrims when we left Cambridge, Mario was there, but I left Cambridge to go off and start pilgrims. The first part of it was just idealistic. I was excited by this idea, and as long as the economics worked out all right, it didn't matter, because this was essentially, I was young, no connections, no family, no responsibilities. I didn't need to pay the milk bill. That was sort of paid for somehow or other. So I was free to do it. So the first summer and the recruiting of the students in the first summer was an experiment and an exciting fulfillment of a dream. And it was only after the summer, when we added up the numbers, the commercial numbers, that we realized we'd actually made a small profit and paid everybody, and the thing worked. And that was the time when my best friend, who was then an accountant at Deloitte's, said, why don't you give this a try, James, and take it further, do it again. And I thoroughly enjoyed the summer, made lots of good friends, had some lovely students. All my children, 4 children, now have godparents from the students of that first 2 summers. And Santiago, Alethea. So I said, right, give it another go. And that was the next summer. We recruited 350. During the winter, I went back, worked with Mario in Cambridge. So the schools were brilliant. They employed us in the winter and let me off in the peak season to go and run my own business. It was phenomenal what James Day at Davis's School of English did, which then became a Eurocentres, because he also, when the Davis's was full, he just gave me all the application students asking for places at Davis's. He'd just put them in an envelope and give them to me. So it was absolutely phenomenal. So anyway, so the second year, 370, something like that, and we made serious money. And suddenly I realized I had a business. I then stopped the idea of this was just a fun experiment, because I was planning to join the Metropolitan Police, where my godfather was a chief constable and was trying to get me to go into the police force. I then became an entrepreneur. So then I spent basically the summers running the business and the winters going all over the world recruiting students. And I spent 6 months of the year going around knocking on doors, knocking on British Council doors, building relationships. Mario's mentioned a man called Heinz Reisker at the Volkshochschulverband in Frankfurt, and people like that, and selling them the idea of this institution on the hill in Canterbury with excitement and brilliant teachers. And then the stories came out of people coming to take a course with us and being transformed. And then the more of those you got, the more of the kick you got, the more of the adrenaline rush you got each year. And then from there, after 3 years, we started children's courses, and they went the same way, the same sort of first lot, and then the second lot, and then bang, and with a brilliant leader, spotting brilliant people to help me deliver this vision. And then we were into some serious commercial planning of missioning and visioning and strategic planning, all driven by the help I got from Chris Tanner, the Deloitte's man, who had been involved in it, obviously. So I was benefiting from all his training, and he was a senior man in Deloitte's in London, so he had benefited from all that commercial training. I went on a number of courses myself to become a leader. I went to the Leadership Trust. It was adventure training when you sort of led people down potholes and up cliffs when you were terrified yourself, all about trying to get people, to lead people through difficult situations. So I did a lot of that. I went Industrial Society, was a big trainer. And each time I went on a course myself, I came back with techniques which we applied to the teaching. I mean, Mario's mentioned a number of them earlier on. A number of things that just happened to be really sensible things to do. They're obvious looking back on it. They weren't obvious at the time, obviously. But I think it's the genetics, the two sides of my genes, the commercial side from my father, the medical side from my mother. So medical, helping people and making money, the two things came together. And I had both. The real tensions in my business life was when those two came into conflict. When what I wanted to do commercially, my teaching side didn't let me, and that whole tension in the middle was right round the boardroom table, and it always was, whether there was a formal board there or not. For the early days, it was Mario and Chris Tanner, the Deloitte's man, but as it developed, there was always a tension between the teachers and the business, and managing that tension, not letting one dominate the other, but managing and balancing it, was critical to the success of the whole operation. So select the right people, put them together, create an environment where they can flourish and fly, give them something to aim at, and let them go. It's easy.